Good morning. Welcome everyone to the webinar series, Understanding the New Charter of Aged Care Rights. Specifically today we are going to be talking about what it means for you, the consumer resident of aged care services, and this is proudly brought to you by OPAN, the Older Persons Advocacy Network. Your time is really precious and your participation and voice is pivotal for us to get this absolutely accurate so that we can deliver appropriate aged care services across Australia. My name is Marie Montgomery and I shall be your facilitator today, but also in the up and coming webinars and community events across Australia. I'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, on which we are meeting here in Sydney today. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and to any elders of other communities who may be joining us here today. By attending this webinar, we will be discussing, and I'll introduce my fantastic panel to you shortly, but we're going to be discussing some very important points, and that's what about rights? Why are having rights important? What the new charter means to you, what signing the charter means, how to claim your rights in a confident manner, the importance of consumer responsibilities, and where to get help and assistance, and most importantly, how we can get your voice to direct us in the provision of education and aged care services. I think that's pivotal today. So let's come to the panel. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yay.
Back here again.
I know. Here we go. Same channel, everything. Okay. Pat Joyce, you're an advocate manager for Seniors' Rights Services.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And Craig Gibb, the CEO of OPAN. So thank you for your time, both of you.
Morning.
So can you both tell me a little bit about yourselves, and I guess most importantly, what brings you into the aged care sector? What are you passionate about? Pat.
Well, I've been an advocate in the aged care advocacy in New South Wales for 12 years, and I really enjoy giving older people power, empowering them with information about their rights so they can usually speak up for themselves and improve their own lives. So it's very rewarding, very rewarding.
Yeah, great. It is really rewarding, isn't it? Yeah. There's a lot to be said for that. Excellent. Thank you. Craig.
Hi. So, as you said, I'm the CEO of the Older Persons Advocacy Network. OPAN is the peak organisation of the 9 organisations in each state and territory, or 9 across the country, 1 in each state and territory and 2 in the Northern Territory. And these are organisations that have been providing aged care advocacy for about the last 25 years. Aged care advocacy is the service that walks alongside an older person or their family, gives them confidence to raise issues, and speaks on their behalf at their direction when they want to. We're a free service funded by the government, but independent of government, of the Aged Care and Quality Safety Commission, and also independent of aged care providers. And that's really important so that people know that there's someone that's on their side, working for them, working at their direction to really resolve any issues they may have and to confidently ask and stand up for their rights. And I think that sort of empowering people, as Pat talked about, for me, that's what I get really passionate about. We can give people the ability to raise their issues themselves.
Yeah, have a voice. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. So this morning, OPAN are utilising the live streaming webinar, as you're obviously logged on, so you're live streaming. However, we're also having a chat, an opportunity for you to give us your questions, your perspectives. So please, and I'll use my phone, and if you just up in the right hand corner you will find a chat box and you can tap into there your questions. I will get them and we will discuss them through the panel through today. Excellent. There is also an opportunity to film yourself and discussing any of the rights which are very pertinent to you. They're your rights. So if you want to do a selfie with the rights or film yourself, please do so, and we're going to create a collage at the end as a voice, a national voice for consumer rights. Beautiful. So I'm going to discuss with Craig here again, and you looked at OPAN and what they are, but I guess can you give us a little bit more about the role they play in the introduction of the new charter?
Sure. So OPAN sort of thought it was important to be involved with this project. The government was reforming the aged care system, but particularly bringing in a new set of aged care quality standards.
Okay.
And in doing that, they've brought a number of the charters of rights and responsibilities together. And OPAN feels that it's important that older people know about those rights that now exist in the single charter. So simplified down, 14 rights onto one page, and we wanted to have the opportunity to take that out to older people, but also for our services like the Seniors Rights Service here in New South Wales, to be able to give them some resources to take these out to consumers and use in education.
Okay. And what sort of services across Australia? You say there's 9, is that correct?
That's correct. So we have 2 in the Northern Territory, Catholic Care around Alice Springs,
Okay.
Darwin Community Legal Service. We have Advocacy in WA, down in Tasmania, Advocacy Tasmania, and I'll talk about a couple of others as we go through today.
Okay.
So each state and territory has an organisation that provides the National Aged Care Advocacy Program.
Great, excellent, good. Well, there's a lot of people out there, isn't there, for assistance and help. So, as of the 1st of July 2019, the Australian Government is introducing, as you suggested, this new and simpler Charter of Aged Care Rights. This will replace, there are 4 charters at the moment of rights and responsibilities. So I guess, what is the new charter? A little bit more about that, and why is OPAN involved in this? Is this not a provider responsibility?
Absolutely, it is a provider responsibility that there was a change in the legislation and the rules that go around this, and that meant that it was clear to providers that they needed to explain the new charter to older people and to their families, and to actually acknowledge that they'd done that work by signing. And we'll talk more about signing as we go through today. OPAN's members have been standing up for older people's rights for the last 25 years, so it's a natural fit for us to be working on the side of the consumer, the older person, as we sometimes they can call a consumer, sometimes a resident, sometimes a service user, but what's important about that is we're talking about the older person who is receiving aged care. So we see it as a natural fit to keep fighting for those rights and standing up for them.
Great.
Pat, you've been doing it for 12 years, you said.
We have, and we usually get very engaged audiences in aged care homes and home care recipients in the community. A lot of them ask, so I didn't know I had rights. So our role is to go around the state continuously to remind the recipients of the services, as well as staff and other community people and carers and representatives, that there are rights and standards in aged care. So we're getting more and more requests for this sort of work to supplement, especially with a new tool. This is a very valuable tool, the new standards and the new charter, and we're getting a lot more invitations to talk to residents and older people receiving home care about the charter and how valuable it is for the older person, plus the people serving them in the aged care industry.
Yeah, this is going to open a lot of conversations, isn't it? Yeah. I guess you recently had an experience in regards to looking at what just normal rights are. What are rights to you and what do they mean? And it's an integral part of our daily lives, yet we don't sit down every day and go, well, this is my right, necessarily.
Yeah.
So, Craig, you recently had an experience with that, didn't you?
Yeah, and I suppose it was almost coming to this project and wondering, well, why are rights important and what are they? We talk a lot about human rights, and we talk about that OPAN and our members work from a rights-based perspective.
Yeah.
And then when you sit down and try and unpack that and say, what is a right? I was at the Jewish Museum for a ceremony remembering people from the Holocaust, and they had a wall in the Jewish Museum in Sydney which tracked the development of human rights over the decades. And then some kids had been in for a tour and they were writing from their perspective. It's about what I'm entitled to as a citizen, they were saying in their post-it notes. It's respecting everyone else and having them respect you. And it's fascinating because it's only once you lose those rights and you're not respected that you find how important they are. And that was a good example of what happens when people's rights aren't upheld and aren't respected.
Yeah, and I guess that's absolutely tenfold. What's the word I'm looking for? It's made much worse or harder when you have lost a degree of capacity.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have anything, Pat?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the older people that come to us, maybe in their late 80s or 90s, they were quite resilient and strong when they were younger. But now they look around, they haven't got any allies or family or friends or people that they've known a long time. So they've lost all those supports which younger people may enjoy. So that's why advocacy is more important, to call on someone to stand by them, to raise anything at all. So we say, if something's not right, so there we go, rights again. If something's not right, something's not fair, I'm not happy. All of those reasons are very valid reasons that you're receiving services in your home or in an aged care home that can be improved. And a lot of the time, older people don't want to speak up or rock the boat, and the aged care providers and staff can't help you unless you tell them what's bothering you. And if you're not confident to do that, that's when you get an advocate, someone you rely on and trust, or you can call us and we can listen to you. It's very important to be heard, no matter what your background is and how small or big your concerns are. It's important that you speak up, and that again helps everyone in the facility and helps the whole staff grow and learn how to respond to concerns and complaints. Even it's a helpful thing. It's not a negative thing at all.
No.
It's helpful.
No, exactly. And even today, if you're in a residential aged care facility or you are planning to move to a residential aged care facility, if there's someone with you that if you can't use the chat box and you would like to send us a question, it would be great to get somebody else to help you. We also are very aware that sometimes technology, we say, come and use this webinar or come and use this technology, and it may be difficult. So anything, I think staff or advocates could help with those sorts of things as well. Excellent. So the rights put the consumer obviously at the centre of care, and they give them choice and recognising their right to be treated with respect, as we all are, have the right to be treated with respect. So as an advocate, how does the Charter support older people with their integral rights? I guess it's really busy out there at the moment as well for advocates, and this is going to, should I get a job as an advocate? Is there going to be lots of them out there?
Well, there is a demand at the moment, as everyone's learning about the new Charter and the new standards which go together. So it's a great way for us to be involved at residents' meetings and other groups in the community, other community groups, day centres where we can come and talk to people who are receiving care, and to talk about what it means for the person. And we'd like to see this as a separate document. So sit down and have an opportunity to talk to your the provider or the case manager or a senior staff member about what your rights are. And maybe this is the first time. So for new people entering an aged care home or receiving any sort of other care, home care, Commonwealth home support, you'll be given one of these and sat down and had it explained to you. And if you've been in an aged care home for 15 years or receiving home support and care for 10 years, you may not have had an opportunity to get this the old Charter of Rights out and have a look. So it's a great opportunity to sit down with the care provider, and they can listen to you about your individual needs and wants and wishes and what's important to you. And it's going to be great. Yeah, like I said, it's great conversations we've heard already with aged care providers already embracing this. It's a great idea.
Yeah, I feel that there's a real positive vibe out there, and I'm getting stories or anecdotal evidence that the interactions that are starting to take place, the talking about rights, is actually bringing about perspectives and nuances to the individual that the staff may have been caring for them for 10 years, didn't actually know. You know, some of those, medals that you got when you were running, in the Commonwealth Games, or, those wonderful stories that make us who we are. And we don't leave that at the door, do we? They come with us, that is us.
And that's interesting, is one of those rights that talks about diversity and respecting diversity. I think this charter, one of the things that excites me about the charter is it's a simple one-page thing that talks about your expectations. These are your expectations of the aged care service provider. This is your expectations of others around you. But a great way to start a conversation about expectations. Often our expectations don't get met. And that's sometimes because we haven't actually said what those expectations are. Here's a way of actually articulating in a simple form what your expectations are of how you expect to be treated while you're in aged care. And the great thing is, it's something that covers the whole spectrum of aged care now. You don't have to go and look for a different one because you're in home care or because you're receiving CHSP, the Commonwealth Home Support Program. This is the one document that covers and takes you on your whole journey across aged care.
Streamlined.
And you're right. It's a simple sentence. It's in plain English, and it'll be translated in many other languages as well.
18, I believe.
18. Yeah. So in between those lines and what that sentence means, that's where an advocate can come in very handy to help you. Listen to your story and say, well, I'm not happy because this is happening. So, that relates to this right and that right. So that's, I didn't know that. So we can expand that and then explain to the care provider, if you want us to, how your rights are being impinged by certain behaviours or something that's been missed out in your daily routine. So that's our role, is to help you interpret, if you like, what all these standards mean for you.
Well, that was a beautiful segue into this question that I have here. So I'm not texting, I'm getting your questions here, and this is from Gwen, and this is directed for you, Pat. I'm still a bit unclear. What actually is an advocate, and how can they help me?
Okay, so an aged care advocate is a specific role, and there's 8 aged care advocates in New South Wales, and
60 across the whole country.
60 across the whole country. So no matter where you are, these webinars will be going national. So no matter where you are, you can call one of us and get some information about your rights. We can clarify your issues and give you some support to speak up and identify something that's not quite right for you, and maybe write a letter or have a meeting face-to-face if we possibly can, if that would be helpful, to try and get a solution to your issues. A lot of things will come up in aged care, no matter in a residential facility or at home. There'll be little things that will come up that may be irritating or confusing. So about the fees or what you should be receiving, and communication's a big one. Always, we're all, no matter where we work and live, communication's a big one. So
I think we did some analysis of some of our data nationally, and communication was probably the second top one that was there about the issues.
So a lot of people, we find we have permission to contact the aged care provider. We make one call and they say, we didn't realise that older person had that issue. We'll go and talk with them straight away. That shouldn't have happened. So that's the reaction you get probably 99% of the time. Aged care providers are there for you, to listen to you and make you, comfortable in your own environment.
I guess in many ways, and we're going to talk about the standards very shortly, but I guess this charter gives the older person, they can drive their care, can't they? They can absolutely drive how they want their care delivered. Would that be right?
Yeah, and choice and control is so important. consumer-driven care
Yeah.
around your home care package is very much about the person who's receiving that care and support saying, this is what I want and this is how I want it delivered. And there'll be some times when my wishes go against what my family might want or what the aged care provider thinks is best for me. And that is. And there's about this thing called, there is dignity in taking risks. And we shouldn't have to be wrapped up in cotton ball balls as we get older. It's about, though, understanding that and having that explained what the payoffs might be for taking those risks or not following that path.
It's all informed decision making, isn't it?
Informed decision making.
Yeah. So important. Okay, so let's now move on to the quality, aged care quality standards. I do apologise. So these are also coming in on the 1st of July, and that's purposeful so that we get the two, because they do marry. But for a consumer, this wealth of information, all coming at once, it's really quite a busy time and lots of information. So I guess now let's look at the aged care quality standards and look at what they mean, and then I guess how they align with the Charter.
Sure.
Sorry, Craig.
Yeah, so there's 8 new standards that are coming in, and this is what aged care providers and residential facilities are going to be assessed against. And what the reform is trying to do is really articulate that the person at the centre of this is you. You as the older person, you as the family members supporting that older person, and putting you right at the centre. So there's a lovely graphic that they've got, which is kind of like this pie chart that the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission has got. It describes all the 8 standards. But standard 1, right in the middle there, is the older person receiving care and treating that person with dignity and respect. So that's where there's such alignment between the Charter of Rights and the 14 rights and that quality standards. So I think of one that talks about personal care and clinical care and the importance of that, importance of getting your medications right. That aligns with Right 1, which is about safe and high quality care and services. So there's an integral link to say this is what the
care looks like.
Yeah, the assessors are now going to look at. Is that care being delivered in a way that's high quality and is safe? And you can expect that as a receiver of Commonwealth-funded aged care services. That's what you can expect.
Absolutely. Good. Excellent. So there's been a lot of information delivered. So this is a really big change in someone's life, isn't it, once you start taking on aged care services. And I met a lovely couple the other day, and a big hi to Brian if you're there watching today. And his wife was quite distressed in that he was quite debilitated and required full care. And although she was living in one of the units, she was still separated, and they'd been together 60 years. And she was talking about the anxiety that coming into aged care what's the word I'm looking for, guys? Brings about.
Yes.
Is there a way that we could perhaps bring this information so that it's over a period of time, it's not all in one big lump, and is there something that advocates could do that would allay some of that anxiety? What do we think? What do you think?
Well, at the time of entry for new aged care recipients, that is a time where the new provider of services will sit down with you and explain your rights and some responsibilities, refer to the standards of care, explain the systems, the culture of the aged care facility, and hopefully talk a lot about choices and offer an agreement that you or your representative will sign. So you can contact an advocate at any stage during this to ask, what do these things mean? What should be in my contract? When do I sign it? All those sorts of things. You definitely can ask the aged care provider.
Yeah.
But you can ask us as well, and we're confidential. We'll have a chat and explain those things too.
And free. That's
And
the other thing.
Free
Yeah,
services.
yeah.
Yes.
Two really important points: confidential and free. And again, that follows the rights, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I think it's also important that you don't have to sign everything all at once. So you've got your agreement,
Yeah.
but this Charter of Rights sits separate to that agreement.
Yeah.
And while your aged care service provider might attach it to a funding agreement, they should also give you a copy that's separate to that. And we'll talk more about the signing processes in a little while, but it's important to realise that charter is yours. It's your shield and your protection, and that sits there the whole time. So there's no reason why someone has to say straight away, I have to sign this right then. Take it away, read it, understand it, get behind it, ask questions of your provider about what do you actually mean, or what could this mean when I ask for dignity and respect, or how do I provide feedback to you in a way that you can take on board and look to improving your services? What are your mechanisms that are there for that?
Oh, absolutely. Again, this brings that conversation between you and your provider. You know, how do we have these discussions? How do I have my bird in my home? You know, just a whole gamut of conversations that it's going to open that you drive.
Yeah, what does independence mean to you?
What does it mean?
Yeah, and unpack that over time.
Absolutely. And we're going to be talking about favourite rights very shortly, so I won't go any further to that. We did get another question from George, which is very similar vein, and I think he says, am I expected to remember everything in one go, or can I come back and ask for more help?
I'm sure there'll be many different meetings, George, to explain your rights, and if your agreement does need to be altered to contain this section, there'll be in-depth conversations about that as well. And we also say as advocates, if you don't want to sign anything, you don't have to. It says on the back clearly, you may sign it. The staff can encourage you to sign, and then they will sign that, but you never have to sign anything if you don't want to, if you're not sure. So don't feel you're pressured at any stage to sign any document in aged care. If you have a representative who can sign it for you, that's great. And if you have any questions, talk to the aged care provider, or again, talk to an advocate in your state, and we can assist you.
The aged care providers have a responsibility to actually explain the Charter of Rights to someone receiving aged care, and to explain it in a way that they can understand. So if you need more time for that understanding, George, ask for it, and they need to give that to you. By them signing is the aged care provider saying to you, we recognise that you have rights. By you signing says, and I'm going to keep upholding those rights and making sure that I stand up for my own rights.
Yeah. And again, it's a positive thing. It's a really, it's just a two-way street. Opens up that conduit for communication. Yeah, beautiful. So I guess really what I would love from you, as I mentioned earlier, is a voice, and you directing us how we can assist and deliver your rights and aged care services. And so if you can think of or have some thoughts, either video yourself or write to us at OPAN, and you can direct that to me if you wish. The site that you would send this to would be inquiries@opan.com.au, and I'd really love to hear and have your voice so that we can drive it, because we're driving it every day. It's changing it, like we're really putting resources together. We're flying by our butts, really.
It's a big time.
It's an exciting time. Yeah. Okay. So just moving on to, I think we might have changed. Have we talked about, excuse me, like I said, flying by our butts. Can advocates also have a supportive role in assisting managers and frontline workforce?
Yes, well, anyone can call our service, and we do talk to care providers as well, managers, care managers, people from the community, aged care assessment teams, anyone who has questions about aged care services and rights specifically, and standards of care can call us. And if it's a resident who can speak with us, we'll ask the care manager or staff to assist that older person, make a call or ask permission. So we remember we're on the side of the recipient, the care recipient,
Yes.
so they're the ones we'll sit with.
Yeah.
We won't go to a meeting arranged by the care provider to say, this person's your advocate, here you go. So
Okay.
we ask someone at all, family friend or family or staff, to assist the older person to make a call and contact us, and then in private we can listen to them and with permission we can take the next steps after giving their options.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we do talk about staff who can run scenarios by us if they need know where to get other services that are affecting the older person, not even about the care and services there, but other things, other rights that may be infringed upon, maybe a bit of exploitation or financial pressure, things like that the older person wants information on. We can definitely talk to staff about that as well.
And I think that's really important because it is a bit of a community, and it's kind of like when you have a problem in your community, you need to talk about it, you need to raise it to get it resolved.
Yeah.
And what I really love about what our advocates do, like Pat does, that it's standing beside the older person, but also helping them to raise the issue so that the issue gets resolved. Because you don't want that something sitting there festering on. There's often something that can be done about it in a way that your situation can be improved. And sometimes it's just having the confidence to be able to speak up about that, to do that, which is really what our advocates do.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about some tips, to talk about with any complaints or concerns that you may have with confidence very shortly. But before we do that, we're actually going to break into not song, but a video. Or you can, if you want that.
Don't want to hear me sing.
All right, we have this amazing explainer video that OPAN have created with thanks to Travis. So thanks, Travis, for this. It's fantastic. And it just really explains what the Charter is about signing. So we're going to be talking more about that, some of the timelines, etc. But we may just go across now to the video, and I hope you enjoy it.
From the 1st of July 2019, the Australian Government is introducing a new and simpler Charter of Aged Care Rights for anyone receiving aged care services. As a person receiving aged care, you have the same legal rights as all Australians. The Charter of Aged Care Rights add to these and are designed to help you by putting the focus on you, giving you choice and making sure you are treated with respect. This video aims to help you understand these rights and how you can exercise them. We'll go through them briefly now. However, you'll also receive a copy on paper and you can always ask for more information afterwards. Here's a quick look at all 14 of them. You have the right to safe and high-quality care and services. You have the right to be treated with dignity and respect. You have the right to have your identity, culture, and diversity valued and supported. You have the right to live without abuse and neglect. You have the right to be informed about your care and services in a way you understand. And you have the right to have access to information about yourself, including information about your rights, care and services. You have the right to have control over and make choices about your care, personal and social life, including where choices involve personal risk. You have the right to have control over and to make decisions about the personal aspects of your daily life, financial affairs, and possessions. You have the right to your independence. You have the right to be listened to and understood. You have the right to have a person of your choice, including an aged care advocate, support you or speak on your behalf. You have the right to complain, free from reprisal, and to have your complaints dealt with fairly and promptly. You have the right to personal privacy and to have your personal information protected. And finally, you have the right to exercise your rights without it adversely affecting the way you are treated. So, what's next? While you have these rights, you must respect the rights of others in the aged care community too. Everyone should feel safe and respected. And you may need to consider any existing care agreements previously made with your provider. Shortly, your provider will give you a copy of the Charter of Aged Care Rights. All Australian government-funded aged care providers have an obligation to explain these rights to you in a way that you understand. We recommend sharing the Charter with your family, friends, or anyone helping you with your care. This can be a great opportunity for you to discuss what's important to you. Discussing your rights and needs better enables those around you to help deliver the best care possible. Your provider will have already signed the Charter, showing that they understand your rights. If you're comfortable doing so, we recommend you sign the Charter too. By signing, you're showing to your provider that you also understand and recognise your rights. If you're not comfortable signing or you have concerns about your rights not being upheld, talk to your aged care provider, family, friend or carer. Don't worry, your services will not be affected if you choose not to sign the Charter. If you'd prefer to talk to an independent representative, contact OPAN, the Older Persons Advocacy Network, on 1800 700 600, or visit their website at opan.com.au. Alternatively, you can ask for more information, give feedback or raise a complaint about your services with the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission by calling 1800 951 822 or by visiting agedcarequality.gov.au. The Charter of Aged Care Rights, proudly shared by OPAN, the Older Persons Advocacy Network, and quality aged care providers across Australia.
And we're back. That is an amazing video. I really like it. I like the simple nature of it. The characters are coming together. It'd be great to get your feedback on that actually as well. That would be fantastic. But I think it's, it discusses the rights in a very clear and positive manner. And talking about the rights, we're going to talk about the favourites as well. So I'm going across Australia in the up and coming months, and I'm trying to get everyone's favourite, and I'd love to document it. And we've talked to providers, we've had some webinars the other day, we've had some great discussions on, the favourite right. So, Pat, I'm going to ask you, what's your favourite right?
Well, as an informed advocate, I'd like to keep all my rights, but I do like the top one for myself. With my nursing background, I think it's important for me if I was to have pain or certain diet or needed to go to the toilet when I wanted to. I think that's the quality and safety would be the number one for me. Yeah. It could change, of course. It could change tomorrow or next week.
And that's right too, isn't it? Absolutely. Great.
As well as sort of the head of an advocacy organisation, number 11 is really important, and it's something that OPAN really spoke to government about, the importance to have someone of your choice to stand beside you. So that might be a daughter or a son, it might be your wife or husband, it might be your partner of choice in life. So it could be anyone. It doesn't have to be next of kin, as has traditionally been said, or your authorised representative. You might have that. You might have a enduring power of attorney or someone, a guardian or something like that as well. But this person can be whoever you want. And we pushed hard to get the words aged care advocate in there as well, because it's important to know that that can be someone independent. Sometimes families can be a bit tricky. And some of the relations are dynamics. So sometimes you need someone like Pat to come in and be that independent person, to be there and actually say, we've spoken and this is what that person wants. Or just to have someone sitting there so you've got the confidence to say, just letting you know, family, or just letting you know, aged care provider, this is actually what I want.
And sometimes that might change. You might want a family member to advocate on your behalf, and that sits with one issue. And something more serious, you might want one of our aged care advocates. So that's not fixed. You can choose which person you want. You might have a supportive decision maker who's not your power of attorney or your next of kin, someone who knows you and you trust to speak up for you. So each situation may be different.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were talking about supportive decision making the other day. What exactly is that?
So one of our members, Advocacy in the ACT, they've been working a lot on this area. So people might have heard of substitute decision makers. So the idea that when you've got some cognitive decline or dementia or an injury, that someone steps in and makes those decisions for you. But supported decision making recognises that you actually can still make decisions. You might not be able to make every decision for yourself, but this is actually recognising and working with you to say, in these situations, this is what I want. In these situations, I want to still be able to be the one that you speak to. I know a lot of situations where someone goes to the doctor with their family member, and the doctor or the nurse actually ends up just speaking to the family member and stops talking to the older person. And that's, one, it's disrespectful.
Correct.
Two, it doesn't respect that you've still got the right to make decisions over your own body.
Absolutely.
Right number 9. I have the right to my independence.
Absolutely.
That's part of that as well.
I had a similar sort of experience recently with my father, who's recently had a stroke, and he went to the specialist, and this specialist has got years of experience, but really just directed everything at me, to the point where I had to constantly redirect him to Dad. And I could see Dad's blood pressure going up, which wasn't a good thing.
Not when you just had a stroke, no.
It's this sort of stuff, isn't it?
It's so easy to fall into that trap.
Very.
We all do it. And having the charter, I think, also helps you go, it's about, I'm the older person, I'm the one in charge here.
And it's really made me reflect upon, as you're a nurse as well, and we're all nurses here, it's made me really reflect on my practice and what I do every day as well, my communication. So my favourite right today I do change a bit, but it's definitely 7. It's having control over decisions and how I want my care delivered. I don't want to get out of bed till 10 o'clock. I want my age and I want my cup of tea and my dog. So, be prepared, look out, I'm on my way.
Yes.
All right, so on that, we're going to we've got a great film that we filmed at Westmont the other day with some residents there, and we're getting their voice. Again, I'm looking for everybody's voice in this. So we're going to go to this video. I thank Westmont and the residents there. It just gives a little bit of an idea that, yes, this is your rights and you have a voice, and this is now. It's happening. Have that conversation now. Let's get it rolling. Comes out 1st of July. So how are we going, Tom? Are we right to run that? Perfect. He's great.
All information about myself, including information about my rights, care and services. I have the right to control over and make choices about my care and personal and social life, including where the choices involve personal risk. I have the right to control over and make decisions about the personal aspects of my daily life, financial affairs and possessions. I have the right to my independence, like that. I have to be listened to and understood. I have the right to have a person of my choice, including an aged care advocate, support me or speak on my behalf. I have the right to complain free from reprisal and have my complaints dealt with fairly and promptly. I have the right to personal privacy and to have my personal information protected. I have the right to exercise my rights without adversely affecting the way I am treated.
The provider has to, by law, sign for it. They have to tell you about your rights or provide information about your rights in a manner that you can understand. And as you're aware, across residential aged care, there are many different levels of capacity and ability. And so therefore we have to meet everybody's needs, not just one cohort of people. It needs to be done to everybody, or for everybody, I should say. So what would be your right that you feel that you really need while you're here? What was that?
That's right.
Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's underlying it as well, isn't it? Like, we can be rosy and I can say, you've got rights and you've got a voice, but the reality is I leave here at the end of this session. Yeah.
And with Brian, I suppose the brain's still quite okay,
Yes.
but the body's worn out.
Yes.
And he's been a farmer and a very good sportsman.
Okay.
And all of a sudden he's in a room being lifted and, relying on the nurses to come when they need to go to the toilet, and if they can't come, and then he feels guilty because, they're all good to him. Yes, there's certainly are, but I just say it's just, and degrading for you, isn't it? When I say it's degrading for you, when you get to this stage when you've been so independent.
Everything,
yes.
That's right.
And you appreciate that, but it's just, yes, it's a difficult situation.
Yeah.
For residents' rights, but we have to cooperate with staff and carers for the full final output and input. I mean, the people that are looking after us, we must realise that they've got rights too.
Yeah, so there's also choices as well about who you would like to care for you. So if you would prefer male or female staff.
Or if you want to eat a particular type of food and you've been told that you should be eating another type of food.
Yeah, so if a speech pathologist has recommended you eat a puree or some type of consistency, but you choose not to, and I'm pretty sure Brian knows about that. That was Brian's choice to say no. He's aware of the risks associated with it, but that's his choice. So that will go down on this form.
Brian sort of can't write anymore because he has MS.
Yes.
And his problems are, he can't fill in forms, can't sort of do things like this, and it does make it hard. And as Laura's saying, he's had problems with the speech therapist. She wanted him to go on these thickened diets and that, which he can't stand. And I mean, I've been looking after him for the last 20, 30 years, and he's never choked yet on me, and I know what he can eat and all that.
Right.
But they were, saying no, he should be. But see, he just dug his heels in, he hates
good
it,
on you.
and he wouldn't eat. So he's lost over a stone in weight, but now he's back to eating the ordinary foods. And yes.
And we're back again. Um, Fantastic. I love Lila actually reading out the rights, and particularly that one, I have the right to my independence. And she says, I love that. Love that. Lila, you're fantastic. Thank you for your time. So I'm going to go to some Q&A. How does that sound? Okay. So we've got quite a few. Thank you so much. Javier. I hope I pronounced that correct, Javier. Are there any mechanisms in place for me to take action if my rights are breached? Absolutely. Good question. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
I'll take this one. So yes, you do. As a recipient of aged care, Commonwealth funded in Australia, you have Charter of Rights, and all of these rights are enforceable, and we can help you speak up if they're not. So in your aged care service, you should be introduced to the complaints or the compliments process, and that should be reminded about once a year or even every residents meeting or care recipients meeting about that you do have a right to speak up and to improve things. You have a right to access advocates of your choice, as we just spoke about before. So an aged care advocate who's funded to do this role for you, who's to be independent, and also you have the opportunity to approach your care manager or case manager and to raise any concerns straight away, as soon as you can, really. Don't let them build up. We have sometimes people who have 10 or 20 issues that they're sitting on and they're too afraid to speak up. So the earlier you can raise the little issues, you can get an explanation or have them addressed. So you should all be told about the process that works in your service, and there will be a service.
And that covers community care and home care as well, doesn't it?
Yes.
That anyone that's receiving Commonwealth aged care funding, they've got a responsibility to let you know about the process.
That's right.
And if that doesn't get resolved, and you always can call an advocate, 1-800-700-600 gets you through to the advocate in your state and territory. But there's also the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission.
Yes.
So sometimes you don't want to go off and make a formal complaint, but it's often, I think they get about 90% resolved.
Okay,
sort of
great.
that frontline resolution.
Yeah.
So that's another option for you. We always encourage people to speak to your provider first, because you might be able to resolve it without it going to the formal complaint mechanism. But you've absolutely got the right to complain. And as the Charter of Right talks about, that's without the fear of reprisal.
Yes.
That if someone sort of comes back at you because you've raised an issue or concern, your right to continued service and high quality service continues. That's part of the Charter of Rights.
It's just not on for them to come back with a.
No, they should listen, take it on board, like our little man character.
Yeah.
Thinks about what we can do about this. How do we resolve it?
Good.
And we have a lot of instances where we help consumers or residents raise issues. Nothing's happened, they haven't got any results or no outcome, or the manager's too busy. So that's when you can call us too. We'll help you make a formal complaint to the provider, aged care manager, or we can elevate it to the complaints, safety and quality commissioner on your behalf. And sometimes we can work with them, or if you go straight to them, they might send you back to us to sort out little, smaller issues first. So we can work and refer to them and help you make a formal complaint.
Yeah.
And that sometimes gets results.
Yeah. A collaborative effort.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. Well, thank you for that question. Now, I've got one from Mary. At my mother's aged care home, they've added some extras to the old charter. I don't know about this, Mary. Are they allowed to put in extra things in the new Charter of Aged Care Rights?
We've been talking to providers and saying, look, it's best the 14 rights are the 14 rights.
Okay.
They may want to unpack those and explain some of those things, and there's a booklet that's coming out that will go with this. The government are going to provide free of charge and printed copies of that. So it might be about explaining a bit more. There had been some concerns that the responsibilities that had been there before had been removed. They actually still stand. They're just not in that 14 points there in the Charter. So we'd suggest that people shouldn't be adding extra things in there, that if they want to explain it, find another way. Sometimes there might be a code of conduct of expectations. That's okay, but it sits separate. This is your charter of rights. This is for the older person, the consumer.
Yeah, excellent. And in the Westmont video, one of the residents, I think it was Lila again, was discussing about consumer responsibilities, and that's the terminology that we're utilising. So I guess it's about that code of conduct. Can you extrapolate more on that, either of you?
Well, it starts with respect.
Yeah.
I think that's the baseline for any relationship, working relationship, a partnership in aged care. There needs to be that respect for the older person and respect for the staff, whether they're coming to your home or are looking after you in an aged care home. So it's got to be on respect and acceptance. And again, this charter talks about, treated as an individual, dignity, respect, respecting my identity, whether I'm from a Aboriginal Torres Strait community, or whether I'm a gay or lesbian, or from a culturally diverse and different language to other people. You might be the only one in your facility. So as an individual, you need to be accepted and supported to have that upheld. Also against abuse and neglect. So, very strong.
And I think on the idea of respecting each other, it's really important that we all live as part of a community. Now, whether your community is people in the same street, whether it's a community in a residential facility, what's important is that I want respect. So therefore, I've got to give respect to others, and that includes respect for the staff as well. So we talk about if you're going to raise an issue, don't do it in anger. Do it be assertive, but do it to try and get a result. So in that sort of thing is me respecting the staff, me respecting the other people that I cohabitat with, because we all live in a community.
Yeah. And again, I think this just opens this dialogue of what are rights, what are your rights? Then we'll be sitting there going, what are your rights, But you start to get that dialogue happening, and you may learn some amazing things about people, about the way cultures are and how they live, and embody some of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I just think that's just a wonderful kaleidoscope of humanity that we are, that we have an opportunity to look at. Excellent, good. I do get a little excited, don't I? So we're going to look next at the signing. This is brought around a lot of conversation and concern for certain people across Australia. And then we're going to go on and look at the timelines for implementing the charter. So in regards to signing, it has to be signed by the provider, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So the provider has a responsibility to explain this to people that they're providing care for. So that could be done in various different ways, though. They might actually send you a copy and then come back and ask you if you've got any questions and step you through that. When it comes to the signing, though, what the provider is doing is they're documenting that they have taken the time to explain it to you. They have given you a copy that's yours to keep. They'll also keep one in your record as well, whatever that record is. And they may attach it to the contract as well, but it shouldn't be the only place that it's that. When you sign, you're signing to say, I recognise I have got rights. And that I'm going to assert those rights in the right way.
Excellent.
And you definitely don't have to sign it. If you turn over the back of your Charter of Rights, it does say that you're encouraged to, and the aged care provider will encourage you to, just to make sure that it's clear and you do agree, because you're equal parties in this care partnership, but you don't have to. So we don't like to hear that you're being pressured to sign, so you're not. Again, if you don't feel you want to, and you may, after a couple of months, you might realise, yes, actually I do totally understand now, and then I choose to sign.
But it's a great opportunity to actually talk about what your expectations are. That if I'm contributing probably a bit of money to this as well, if I was a recipient, but I can sit down and use this to say, well, when you provide services for me, this is what I expect.
Yep.
This is what I expect about respect. This is what I expect around confidentiality, about my space.
Yeah.
Respecting my space.
Yeah, when you enter that room, that's my room. Yeah, my space. Yeah, it's very important, isn't it?
And sometimes some of those choices that you and I have may compromise other people's safety or rights.
Okay.
So the thing is, in aged care, you've got your rights, I've got mine, Marie's got hers,
Yes.
Tom's got his.
Yep.
But we have to make sure that they all line up. I don't want to do anything disrespectful or to put you at risk.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes there has to be a little bit of give and take as well. Issues we saw on the video just now with pets and smoking and all those issues and the risk, the little character parachuting.
That's the one.
So, those sort of issues you think, well, you're 99, do you really want to go bungee jumping at 99?
Might.
So someone has to help you make that decision if it's a safe decision, or you can't make me go if I don't want to go as well. So,
you wouldn't make me go.
so all those things, again, between those lines, the words themselves, which are very clear, plus between those, we can help, unpack that and then translate them for you.
Excellent. Now, it brings me to a really good question, because you brought up a few points there in regards to getting the information and taking the time and the appropriate environment to, take your time to look at the rights before you sign it. And again, you don't have to. What about rural and remote? What about people in, out in Northern Territory or WA that miles away from their service? They see their service infrequently. I mean, can it be posted? Can they webinar it? What sort of things can we do?
Yeah, but the providers can use many different ways.
Yeah.
There has to be a way that works for you
Yep.
as the recipient of care. So they might post it, give you some time to read through the booklet, watch the explainer videos.
Yeah.
Someone might come to your house, and while they're making you the cup of tea, sit down and say, here's the charter, here's the video that explains it.
Yep.
We're going to have translated versions as well.
Yep.
But also they might get on the phone and chat through on the phone with you, or IT technology, Skype, those sorts of things. Any way that they can make sure that they've explained it to you in a way that you understand.
Cool. Excellent. Maybe we should get flying doctors onto this and, drop little parcels of, I don't know. Parachuting, that's it. Yeah. I'm always trying to think of ideas.
Yeah.
So we've got one from Gustav here. Hello, Gustav. Thank you for joining us. Will I still be allowed to go to church if I moved into aged care? That's really important for you, Gustav. So I'm going to say absolutely, but I'll hand over to Pat.
So again, it's good that you can raise your wish.
Yeah.
And again, if you're a remote area that wasn't anywhere near a church, that could be a consideration. So we have to look at the situation, what the service can provide for you. The same as any other social activity. If you play bowls and your friends can pick you up and take you there, there's no reason why you can't, as long as you're safe to do that, or you can manage that yourself. So each situation we deal with individuals and their individual situations, and if I tell you yes or no, the next person who calls me with a similar question could be the opposite answer. So it depends on the individual, but yes, in theory, yes. In theory,
and I think that right number 3, though, about having my identity, culture and diversity respected is really important. And I was speaking to our provider in Alice Springs yesterday, and they were telling me about how important it is for Aboriginal elders from that community to not necessarily have to come in and have all their care provided in Alice Springs. That being on country is so healing, and spiritual connection is so important, particularly as people age. And so your provider working with you around what that cultural identity means to you and how that's respected, it's so important that you've had that respected all your life.
To the person.
Yeah, and you shouldn't lose that when you come into aged care.
Absolutely.
So you can either go out to those services or in other ways, if you can't leave, if you're too unwell or too frail, those services from the community should come to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's lots of things to consider. People do move around a lot, and there are ways of making this this work for you.
Yeah. And I guess that comes back to we need your voice. We need innovative ideas of how we can get these services to you, how we can drive education and aged care provision through your voice. We'll be the conduit. You tell us what you want. So I guess
it goes back to your idea of having someone just talking on, if you've got a mobile phone, or talking on that, recording that, getting someone to help you do that if you need to.
Absolutely.
And sending that in to us so that we can hear what you think.
Absolutely.
What you think about the Charter of Rights. So.
Yeah. Grab that grandson, get that iPhone out and video yourself, and we will, you need to have a consent, I will say. You need to film the consent.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah, because it will go up on our website. We will use it for webinars like this as well and other community meetings across Australia. But we need your voice, so please, 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 inquiries@opan.com.au. Now, just quick tips, any tidbits for talking with confidence. How to, say to somebody, okay, I'm not happy. Well, are there any quick tips that we can have to, I guess, open that dialogue?
I think the first thing is for older people out there who haven't had an advocate come and talk to your group or your aged care home, you can ring that number and invite us to come and talk at your residents meeting. So you and all your other peers and your family members and representatives can hear, talk about your rights and how to access advocacy, and regularly invite us to come. And we'll also talk to your staff, so everyone is reminded at the same time about your rights. It's all about you as a standard, so you're in the middle. And then, so having that regular reinforcement will increase your confidence to speak up. And practice speaking with the little things, as you said before. My toast is burnt, or it's little things. Just say, no, would you please go make me some more toast? This seems to be burnt.
Absolutely.
Just practice those little things, asking for what you think you're entitled to.
It's like our characters in the explainer video. I don't like broccoli. I like carrots, not broccoli. How many times have I told you that I don't like the broccoli? So it's the small things that then can raise those issues, and people know that the service will listen.
Yeah. And food is a big issue. We have lots of stories about food, so maybe work on that one. Start with that one first to make sure that what you want and what your choices are, that you do have choices for a start, You do have hot meal choices, sandwich, that sort of thing. And if not, speak up or contact us and we'll talk about what your rights are.
1-800-700-600, that gets you through to the advocacy service in your state and territory.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that, Craig. And you're so right. I again, when it's about my dad today, isn't it? He was in hospital. I pinched his toast. Well, I could hardly cut it, let alone eat it with dentures. So, I would have had to say, a little confidence there. Can you say, oh, I know you do a great job, provider, but can we do something about this?
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. You can practice with the positive.
Yeah.
Instead of just thinking of what needs improving, and it's all about me. How can I thank the staff, without going overboard? Yeah. Just to thank them and start engaging with the people.
The Westmont gang talked about that, didn't they?
Yes.
How appreciative they are of the staff.
Yeah.
And then it makes it easier if you sort of a balance of the positive and the not so positive when things need to improve.
Absolutely, and I think also that duality of respect, it allows for that conversation where something is not right to be easier, because they have your respect, you have their respect, and then the conversation is just easier to begin with. So so you're right, it's all about respect, isn't it? That's the underlying thing. Okay, so here we go. We're talking about some resources now. So we're starting to wrap up the morning session. And just if you've got any Q&A, now's the time to get in and send us some more messages. So resources. OPAN are actually putting together a suite of resources that will be available on the OPAN website. And these will include a booklet. Now, you talked about it quickly before, but can you tell me a bit more about this booklet?
So the government has recognised that there's only so much you can get into a single page in the 14 rights.
Yep.
So they are putting together a booklet which explains what those are a bit more. They're calling it the supporting material. And that booklet will be available for download, but it will also be available to be ordered by your service provider. And that will be ready, hopefully, before the 1st of July when this all takes place. The new charter, the charter is the charter from 1 July.
Yep.
So that will be available. Our explainer videos, they'll be on YouTube and on our website from next week. The recordings of some of these webinars and also our community events that are coming up, which I'll let you talk about, Maurice, and you're leading those. But there's a number of things that will be available to watch, to read, that it will be translated, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so we're going to have a Auslan one as well, aren't we? So that we're meeting all different areas. Is it Braille?
I don't think there's Braille at this stage, but we'll take that one.
I think that that one. Yeah, I keep thinking of ideas. Now, I did forget the implementation dates for the charter.
Yeah, sure. So there is a little bit of time. It does start from 1 July, and the charter is the charter, as I keep saying. From 1 July, these are your rights. The rights were there before. They're now brought together from the 4 documents into the one. But the provider has some time to be able to take you through this and do this properly and explain it to you. Anyone that's new coming into aged care will be explained under this charter from 1 July. But if you're already receiving aged care, if you're in residential aged care, the provider has through to the 30th of September to sit down and explain this to you and take you through that and give you their signed copy and give you the option to sign. If you're receiving care in the home, whatever type of care that is, it looks like it's going to be through to 31st of December. So a little bit more time there.
And still start having the conversation.
I think, you want to start the conversation and ask your provider, hey, when am I going to get a chance to go through my rights with you? Great opportunity to start a dialogue with your provider.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thanks for that. Okay, so we are doing 12 community events across Australia in all the states and territories. And I think the dates are coming up on your screen now. Yeah, thanks, Tom. Told you he's great. So we're going Melbourne, Ballarat, Albury, Canberra, Bankstown, Hobart, Darwin, Brisbane, Cairns, Gold Coast, and finally Perth.
And Adelaide.
And Adelaide. Oh,
don't forget Adelaide.
One. I do apologise.
So you can book into these. We've got a little ticketing system that's there to let us know that you're coming for a cup of tea and a scone.
Yeah, because I'll be there and I'll be filming as well and getting your voice. Craig will be doing some with us as well, and there'll be a panel. It'll be interactive, time for a chat. So to register for these events, the easiest way is just to go to the OPAN website at opan.com.au, and if you scroll down and you'll see in your state, click on your state, it'll come up with the community events, how to register, what they're about, and those sorts of things. Now, again, this has been recorded as well, so you will find it later today, I think, onto the website or tomorrow. And so if you want to share this, Gustav and Mary and any of the others watching out there, if you would like to share this, just click on the link, or if you're not sure how to do that, find somebody that might help you and click on the link and share the hell out of this, because the more voices we have, the more you direct aged care services. Yeah, absolutely. So that brings us to the end today. Panel, my favourite panel. Is there anything that you would like to add, discuss?
Just again, encourage you to come along to an event or tell your friends about the community events. Some really great locations we're going to. But have the confidence to raise concerns, to stand up for your rights, and to get really behind them. As I explained in the video, all the laws in Australia still apply, but this is just your bit of added protection, added understanding about what you can expect from aged care.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
So aged care advocates are available in every state where you live, and if you haven't got access to the internet, more often than say today, you can call us up on that number and we'll post you the old snail mail. We'll post you resources for your own use, and do ask your provider to order a whole batch of those as well. They are free. You just have to order from the government. They will send them to you. So there's no cost for all of these resources.
Yeah.
And engage with us as often and as much as you like.
Yeah.
And call us with any questions at all. Please do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know how Craig is always saying the charter is the charter. I've decided that's a really good T-shirt.
Charter is the charter T-shirt. We'll wear those to the events.
So on that note, I really, really appreciate your time. I look forward to watching your films and your selfies or anything that you can send to me as your voice in this future and ongoing Charter of Aged Care Rights. I wish you a very good day. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.